Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, Pete. Ethan here. Films and Stuff. A new day, new episode. What are we talking about today?
Hi, Ethan. Today we're going to talk about the first half of the series finale of Better Call Saul.
We've gone through 5 seasons of Better Call Saul, and we're really at the point where we see it kind of ending and where Breaking Bad is going to begin. Yet there's so many unanswered questions. I feel like it's just going to be Game of Thrones style. It's going to hit us like all at once, right?
All at once. I think we're going to see the last, I imagine, 3 episodes are going to be absolutely slammed with references, with callbacks, call forwards. It's going to be crazy. I look forward to it.
So you have, if you don't mind me saying, a crush on Rhea Seehorn, who plays Kim Wexler, right?
Oh my God, 100%. Right now, my favorite, and for a variety of reasons, and not just because I think she's gorgeous, but I think she's one of the best actors on TV today. She is absolutely killing it.
Which means it's got to kill you to know one way or another, she's not going to be on Breaking Bad. That means her story comes to an end.
I'm hoping it's because she moves to Hawaii and lives on a ranch somewhere. I'm really not looking forward to seeing this because I think inside both you and I know that things are not going to end well for her.
What's your prediction now? Do you think she dies, or do you think she just moves, or do you think she goes into witness protection?
So I think this show has not been shy about killing off characters that are beloved and main characters. And we see that particularly in the first half. In the third episode, we lose Nacho. And Nacho's amazing. He's a great guy. Michael Mando, great actor.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really good as Nacho in this series.
Yeah.
He's been one of the standout performers ever since he was introduced in the first season as Salamanca's, right-hand man.
Yeah.
And I really liked him. And he went out on his own terms in episode 3. Sorry, before we say anything, spoiler alert, everyone. Spoiler alert. We see he's...
I got it. Spoiler alert. Yep.
Season 5 ended with Nacho basically infiltrating Salamanca's hideout in Mexico and allowing for the death of that entire squad, or so we thought.
Yeah.
And he's now on the run because he's, the Mexican mafia know that he's the guy that betrayed everyone. He gets back into America somehow. Mike helps him get back. And Mike Ehrmantraut, also a phenomenal actor, also is kind of, telling Gustavo, we need to keep him alive. He's our guy now. But he has to die because someone has to die for this. And so after everything's said and done, Nacho says, fine, it'll be me. I'll go out, but I'm going to go out on my own terms. You have to make sure my dad is protected, blah, blah, blah. And instead of being shot in the back like he was supposed to, he flips the script on everyone and ends up killing himself in front of everyone after doing exactly what he promised to do for Gustavo Fring, which is to throw suspicion onto himself and away from Gustavo.
Yeah, I wasn't so distraught by Nacho's demise.
Oh, you heartless bastard.
He was of course, he was a very well-played character, but at the end, he was a drug dealer. He was in the drug game. It wasn't really like that poor guy got mixed up in something, or he was like a casualty. I'm to be honest, I'm really distraught over Howard. Howard Hamlin, the two
Yeah,
H's.
so let's go in there. Let's go there, and that's how. So and which again, stemming from my original point, which is to say, this show is not afraid to kill off important characters. Our guy Howard Hamlin, the guy who was basically portrayed as the bad guy, or maybe not the bad guy, but at least the antagonist to Jimmy McGill throughout all the first 5 seasons and a majority of this season. You see him bite the bullet as well. He gets killed by Lalo Salamanca, headshot mafia.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm really afraid for Kim Wexler. And I hope that they, are just like, okay, we've killed enough characters, but somehow, and this is a Better Call Saul, this is, a Saul Goodman thing, is people get hurt in his wake, in his schemes. And I think that's, it's not her death or her leaving, whatever it is not going to be one of those things that makes him change his life. In fact, I think it's going to go the exact opposite, which is what we see in Breaking Bad. I think that's the thing that galvanizes him to be the heartless guy that he is and the conniving, shrewd lawyer to the mob that he is in Breaking Bad.
So Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman, are you sympathetic to him or not sympathetic to him?
Yeah, he's another one of those great protagonists that's not necessarily a good guy.
I think that when this started a long time ago, right? 5 seasons, 6 seasons ago, Jimmy was a very sympathetic character.
Yeah, he was a victim.
He was the try-harder guy. His brother Chuck, kind of shit on him a little bit. And I think we had a lot of sympathy for Jimmy. And, even like Howard called him like, I can't remember. He had his own little nicknames for him. Charlie Hustle, I think. Charlie Hustle, he was sympathetic. He put himself through law school, maybe not a great law school. He really worked hard. Yeah, he is a little bit of a hustler, but we kind of justified it as that's what he needed to do to get ahead. Over the past 5 episodes, I've become, even though I think Bob Odenkirk is an amazing actor, I've started to like Jimmy less and less. And it's harder and harder to justify what he's done. It's no longer just hustling and, well, this is what I need to do as a little guy to get ahead. He's consistently made bad choices. He's been he's not a nice guy anymore. He used to be the nice guy to people. Now he's so manipulative. He has very little regard for how his actions impact other people. And apart from himself and maybe Kim, almost everything he does is selfish and hurts other people.
Yep.
I mean, yes, he had a complicated relationship with his brother, who's by no means a great guy, but overall wasn't terrible, and McGill could have just kind of crafted his own path in life, but he had to be a lawyer and he had to kind of get involved in these things, and he brought Sandpiper, and over the years, I'm just really a little bit frustrated with him. And I think it was what they've done to Howard over the past, I guess, several episodes with this. It's not just a prank, it's really like a career killer. And I thought that and I thought that Howard put it really well when he came over. He's like, what did I do that was so bad? This is different than just, like he said, you want to throw bowling balls on my car because I was, a jerk to you? Okay. You want to do something else because you're trying to get back at me for this? Okay. But he's like, what did I ever do that was so bad to you or to you, Kim, that justified this? And to be honest, neither one of them really has an answer. And I'm not sure if they actually repent a little bit or feel a little bit of guilt, but I think he's got a point, which is whatever arrogance he had or whatever choices he made, none of it was ever personal. It was always professional and business with him. He absolutely didn't deserve the prank that they pulled on him. And he certainly didn't deserve to be shot in the head by Lalo.
Yeah, and I think it was, and Vince Gilligan did this brilliantly. You also start to see glimpses of Howard's personal life. He's sleeping in the guest house. He's estranged from his wife. He's going through therapy. And you just realize that, you know what? He's not a monster. He's just like everybody else. Yeah. He's got problems. He's got issues. He's working on trying to be a better person as well. Yeah. And this is where I think you're starting to see the dial flip, because as much as I love Kim Wexler, she's not blameless in all of this, right?
No.
She too did all of this. She is also the one who's kind of silent. She's the one who's kind of like, no, I have to fix this. We have to make sure we get him and get him good. And then you see the flashback of her as a kid who's stealing with her mom. And that, you see a little bit of that sociopathic influence, which is to say, hey, we got away with this scam. And we've seen scams from her in the past as well, right? Like they scammed out these businessmen for the tequila and things like that. So you've seen flashes of it before, but nothing ever like egregious. But now it's gotten egregious. Like this is, we're now, drifting or wading into territory that is definitely lethal. And obviously it is, because we see Howard die, right? Yeah. And so, as much as you want to say, well, Kim doesn't deserve to die, she doesn't deserve to be written off the show or whatever, they're actually setting it up to say, hey, she is not a victim of Jim, right?
No.
She is not.
No, they're equals in a lot of ways.
They are a lot of way equals. In fact, I actually think one step further, I think she's orchestrating a lot, because even though he's got ideas, there are times where Jim's like, we should pull the brakes on this, or we have to pull it back. Oh, the guy's got a broken arm. We should call off the whole thing. And she's like, she doubles down and she goes, no, we can make this work. Let's go and get this done. And so it's starting to now set the stage where Kim Wexler is no longer blameless in any of the things that she's doing.
Yeah. It's really disappointing. I guess when Howard died, one of the first things I thought was, I feel bad for his legacy. I mean, he wasn't really happy in life, so I'm not so sad for him personally, if that makes sense, but more like his legacy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be so sad that everyone's now like Cliff and Rick Schweikert, and everyone's going to be like, oh, he got shot in the head. Like, obviously,
it makes
he was
sense
involved
given all the things he was doing.
And so I feel more bad for his legacy. Like, I know he's not around to kind of witness it, but like, just his spirit, like, it's kind of sad. Everyone's going to think the worst of him. He actually deserved a pretty decent, remembrance. Even if he would have died, at least people should have showed up at his funeral and been like, you know what, he was a good guy. He was a hard worker. He put together a firm, and instead it's going to be the opposite.
Like,
and I think
he does that for Chuck, right? Because that guy asks, the intern asks, I'm sorry, I'm new here, but who is that guy? And he points to a portrait of Chuck, and he goes, that's the M in HHM, one of the best trial lawyers.
Yeah.
Like, he set it up to say, like, those are the things that I also want to be remembered for.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I should have realized that was the moment when I was like, oh, he's probably not going to make it.
Yeah. Because even remember, like, seasons ago when Chuck was still alive, Howard went to his house often with a bag of groceries and a newspaper and some files.
And he followed all his rules. He checked his electronics away. He did everything.
Yeah. He was a really decent guy, and I think that's, if you look back over the episodes, how he made his wife the latte, like he was always, talking to like the old ladies, with like so much respect and remembering, how they liked their tea. He was actually a pretty decent guy, despite the fact that he looked a little bit pompous and like overly groomed, right?
Yeah.
Too bad. And Kim, you're right. Kim is a person that we think we're supposed to be more sympathetic towards, but she is kind of the ringleader of Jimmy. If I have to just guess now, I don't think she's going to die. I would think more that she goes into like a witness protection. And I mean, I'm just playing this out in my head. And Jimmy says, not explicitly to her, but in his head, he says, hey, I'm going to just be I'm just going to do whatever I need to do for money. I'm going to save up like $1 million or so, and then I'm going to leave my practice, and I'm going to go to Kim and get her out of witness protection, and I'll take her to some deserted island and take care of her forever. That's kind of how I think things will go, although I imagine it's not going to go at all like what I expect, but that would be the path if I had to guess now where I would.
Yeah, I think it's a lot tougher also emotionally for this show because we know where he ends up. Not just in Breaking Bad, but post Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
We know he ends up becoming that sad sack manager of a Cinnabon who's just had a heart attack after living maybe not a glamorous life, but certainly not short of money, certainly comfortable, married to someone who's wonderful. Yeah. And then, it's like seeing a car crash in slow motion. You know how this is going to end. You can't keep your eyes off of it, but you can't help but feel really sad for what's going to happen.
Yeah. Is Vince Gilligan really nasty to his female leads? Like what he's done to Kim Wexler, and remember in Breaking Bad,
Anna Gunn.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think it's so Anna Gunn in particular, I think received a lot of vitriol, but that's a testament to how good of an actress she is, right? Yeah. Because she played her role really well, so well that she was like likened to Joffrey, right?
Yeah.
Like this clownishly evil bad guy. That's how much people hated her so much. And Kim Wexler's the other way around. I think he's gone the other way to say that she's actually a super sophisticated, like no one dislikes her, but she's so good that you have to really think before you realize, oh, she's not really good about either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your natural instinct is to say Kim Wexler is a victim and that she's lovely and that we love her and we want to see her forever and ever. But when you do even the slightest bit of scratching at the surface, immediately you start seeing the cracks and you're just like, oh, maybe she's not so innocent in all of this. And that, again, a testament to Vince Gilligan's writing and a testament to Rhea Seehorn's acting. And directing. I found out she also directed a few of the episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I have to say, it's been really, really grueling watching these past few episodes because it's just like the slow motion car wreck, and I'm not sure exactly who's going to be injured, but I feel like it's going to go bad somehow for Kim,
everyone
for Jimmy.
Except for Jimmy, right? He's going to come out of this smelling like a bunch of roses because that's how we see him start off in Breaking Bad.
And Mike and Chicken Man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chicken Man also somehow comes out of this okay.
It's so interesting because in the last few seasons, I will say I was so not interested or invested in the Jim and Kim storyline. And I was tempted to almost skip forward through their parts and watch the Salamanca and Gustavo Fring parts because I think in terms of storyline, in terms of what they were doing, I was just much more intrigued by all of that.
Yeah.
And I also think, by the way, it's a testament to how good the show was that I actually confused some parts that happened in earlier seasons of Better Call Saul with what happened in Breaking Bad.
I'm the same way.
There are parts where I'm just like, ooh, did I see this in Breaking Bad or did I see this in Better Call Saul? I can't remember.
Yeah. I have to say, like now we're getting to the point where we're going to see a little bit about the inception of the meth lab below the laundromat, right?
Yep.
But for a while, I was also kind of like getting them confused. I'm like, well, when did that open? And when did they
dig it out? Did I see that in Breaking Bad or did I see that in Better Call Saul? I can't remember now. Mm-hmm. And so it's a testament. And again, I'm saying this, but it's a testament to Vince Gilligan and the staff and the team there. They've really got it. They've really dialed in and fine-tuned it in such a way that even though they're two separate shows about two separate groups of people, they feel like they're one consistent storyline, and they've done a wonderful job. I think the second half of the season is going to be now a convergence of plot points with Kim Wexler, with Saul Goodman, with the Salamancos, and with the Frings. I think they're all going to now play a much more... before it was much more two separate storylines happening simultaneously. I think now they're going to merge into one.
But Lalo has to die, right? I mean, the thing is...
Yes, because we don't see him in...
Just like Star Wars, right? We know a little bit how it's going to, like... With any prequel, we know some things can't happen, right? So I think, I mean, Kim, we know she disappears. Whether she dies, whether she runs, we don't know. But something happens, right? And the same thing with Lalo. Lalo somehow disappears because he's not in Breaking Bad at all. And Chicken Man survives.
Yep.
And the meth lab survives. So that tells me that there's going to be some type of big standoff, you know, between Chicken Man and Lalo.
So, you know what I've just realized is that Gustavo Fring was also introduced to us in Breaking Bad relatively late. He wasn't a main player from season 1. I think he was introduced in maybe season 2 or 3. So my thinking now is, because we also know outside of this universe, we know that Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston are reprising their roles in Better Call Saul. So I think...
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Oh, right. So they're coming back. I don't know if it's for 1 episode. I don't know if it's for 2, but they're back.
Oh.
Where I actually, in terms of timeline, is I think that the Breaking Bad storyline is happening right now, simultaneously. So season 1, 2, or 3, or whatever it is, the earlier parts of Breaking Bad are happening at the same time as the latter half of Better Call Saul.
Pete, you are some sort of genius. You are really, really some sort of genius. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm trying to think of, when did we first see Saul? An actual episode called Better Call Saul. And it says, Badger, remember Badger was his friend. Badger's caught by the DEA. Walt and Jesse hire the best criminal lawyer in town, Saul Goodman. So possibly we're going to, you're right. It could be possible that these guys are already started, and they're kind of like in the middle of the desert. The next episode is 4 days out. Walt and Jesse become stranded out in the middle of the desert after cooking more crystal.
All right, the first episode of Gus Fring in Breaking Bad was called Mandala, and that is in season 2 at the very end, season 2, episode 11. So I believe that
So we're in season 2. It's
At this point, we have to be at season 2 of Breaking Bad, which means that, you know, Walt is now cooking meth virtually full time. He is an established player.
That makes a lot more sense. So we're in essentially, if we look at the timeline of life, we're at the last episode of Better Call Saul. We're in the second season, or the last season of Better Call Saul. We're in the second season of Breaking Bad. And we're going to somehow converge, you know, in that second season, towards the end of the second season of Breaking Bad. That's kind of where we are in the storyline of life, right? If we're going to see Walt and Jesse Heisenberg. Okay. You know, it's really, I mean, it's really interesting how Better Call Saul, and some of it is just like the recency effect, but it's really interesting how Better Call Saul has kind of made not Breaking Bad an afterthought, but has just become so much of a standalone story itself that we don't even kind of think of it as like a prequel to Breaking Bad. We think of it as its own standalone storyline and characters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I can't think of another drama. Maybe Star Trek. I can't think of another television series drama that's got something like that. I'm sure there's another example out there, but I can't think of it. So anyway, we got to see what's going to happen to Kim. We got to see what's going to happen to Lalo. I really want to see how the laundromat meth lab, kind of gets its start. We haven't seen the guy. I can't remember what the guy's name is that they hired to operate that lab. There's a lot that's kind of going on in that season too.
Wasn't he Booger from Revenge of the Nerds?
I always think of him as the guy from Suits.
Yeah, that's right. He was also Suits.
For me, it's the guy from Suits. And Gus.
In fact, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a lawyer in Suits. And I can't remember his name anymore.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. He was.
And Gus Fring. And Gus Fring, of course, had his role for Mandalorian.
That's right. But I knew Gus Fring, of course, from Breaking Bad first. But yes, I think Breaking Bad was really, for me, I'm sure he's done a lot more previously. But for me, he was really, the Giancarlo Esposito was really, for me, made famous from Breaking Bad. Also, one of the most iconic deaths on TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was very iconic. I mean, the Bryan Cranston, I think, has had like a quite decent career. Since Breaking Bad ended, right? I mean,
great career.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Your Honor. He was in. There was a couple other things that he was in that I thought were like pretty decent. But the person who was not Aaron Paul has not really found another big role after Breaking Bad, has he? I mean, El Camino doesn't count.
He did El Camino. It doesn't count. He did a terrible movie about car racing. Maybe Need for Speed or something like that. It was
Need for Speed. And I see a bunch of other stuff that he was in, and I just can't. Oh, he was in 999. I do remember 999. Do you remember that? Oh, man. I do remember 999.
Maybe I remember that. It sounds familiar.
Yeah. If you... 999, a gang of criminals and corrupt cops plans the murder of a police officer in order to pull off the biggest heist yet across town. This was... if you look at it, you'll notice it right away. It was kind of like a big action movie, but it never really made it. And it was... Casey Affleck was in it. Anthony Mackie.
I remember the trailer. Yeah. I remember it. Anthony Mackie was in it. Yes, I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. I didn't watch it, but I know it.
Yeah.
But so he's the voice of one of the main characters on BoJack Horseman, which has been keeping him very busy. And then he's also, in the non-acting world, he's also with Bryan Cranston. They created their own tequila.
Oh, really? What tequila?
Dos hombres or dos hermanos, something like that. 2 friends or 2 men, something like that.
Hermanos
and
pollos.
Like apparently, yeah. I think it's dos hombres. I can't remember, something like that. So they've got their line of tequila that's going, because that was the trend at the time, right? It's like every celebrity had some.
It is
liquor that they were promoting.
Los hombres.
Yeah. Los hombres. There you go.
Oh.
So they had, like Ryan Reynolds has aviation gin. Clooney has the tequila that he not tequila.
I think it is tequila.
I can't remember. He sold that for $500 million.
Yeah.
It was. The Rock has his own tequila.
Oh, The Rock
Hugh Jackman has his own coffee. Yeah. All of them have something.
Hugh Jackman has his own coffee?
Which goes to say, we should do... Yeah, he's got his own brand of coffee.
I have to say the Dos Hombres bottle is a very nice looking bottle. I have to say it's pretty good looking. I've never actually seen the aviation gin bottle. What does it look like?
It's nice. Aviation gin is nice.
I have seen it actually cool. because it was in what movie was he in? And it was in the movie as well.
6 Underground. He was in there. I think it was in what, but you're right. It's definitely in one of the movies.
No, it was Red. I think it was Red Notice.
Maybe Red Notice, but it was in one of his Netflix movies where he kind of puts it in there.
Yeah. And Clooney has
it's which goes to say, I think you and I need to have our own brand of something.
What should it be? First, we have to decide if it's alcohol or not alcohol. A lot of people have their own wines. Can it be an energy? No, I think we need an energy drink. We need an energy drink.
So something to compete with Red Bull and Monster?
Yes. But it should be like kind of a... It should be like a... But not like the same type of like carbonated, like yellowish, greenish type thing. It should be more of like an energy juice, let's call it. Yeah?
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the right thing. I don't know. What should we call it? I think we should call it the same thing as we call our movie. What did we say the name of our movie is?
Vessel? Vessel?
Vessel. What else? Dos vessels.
We have to, so viewers, if you're listeners, everyone, throw it in there. Give us the advice.
But that's what it should be, because then we could do a very easy product placement in our own movie, right?
Oh man!
If you think of
what naval ship has liquor all over it, or energy drinks, I guess.
That's why. No, that's why it's an energy drink. And
maybe we do coffee. Let's follow the Wolverine's lead, and we go into coffee. Everyone in a naval thing has always got some coffee they're drinking, right?
Yeah. And then we can call it Drip. Drip is a good name for the movie as well. We'll call the movie Drip, and the guys will be like super tired, and they'll be like, "Oh, my eyelids are getting heavy. I don't think we're going to make it to Honolulu." And the guy goes, "Oh, you know what you should try? Drip. It'll keep you awake." And the guy's like, "I don't like coffee." He's like, "It's not coffee. It's caffeine-infused orange juice." Whatever.
No, it's a caffeine-infused hydration system. You got to call it something
caffeine-infused.
It has to be something clinical.
With Michael Bay. Yeah.
It has to be clinical
it's a caffeine-infused hydration. Yeah, it's a caffeine-infused hydration system. He goes, so it's a bottle of water. Well, basically, right?
Yeah, and it comes in the bag like instead of a bottle, it comes in the shape of like an IV, like a saline solution.
Oh, like Morbius. It's like Morbius. So let's make it like in a blue IV
like a blood bag.
Yeah. Let's make it in a
which has like a little
blue
spout.
Blood bag, and you just like drink it straight from the bag. And because it's in a bag, it's obviously better for the landfill. Takes up less
exactly.
Space
and it takes up less space, easier to recycle and reuse. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
And then you can pee in it. So this is particularly useful.
Each bag comes with a catheter.
Yeah. So the it's like a two-way nozzle, right? So
it keeps you hydrated and it lets you stay on the job for longer.
I love it. I think that could work.
Yeah. I mean, it would certainly cause some headlines.
Yeah. I mean, it is a Michael Bay movie.
This is the third episode where we've talked about our movie. We really have to do something about this.
Yeah, we just need Michael Bay to come make it.
Anyway, so Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul.
Mm-hmm.
First half of the season dropped. It is stunning. For me, it is a must subscribe. That's how good the series is. If you don't have Netflix, watch it. If you do have Netflix, make sure you watch it. It's really good. The second half comes out in a couple months, and you're going to love it.
But Pete, give me a prediction. What happens to Kim? What happens to Lalo?
Lalo definitely doesn't make it because, he's a bad guy, and bad guys definitely don't make it out of this series.
So what do you think? Mike shoots him? He falls to his death? What do you think?
I think he gets taken out.
Is there another gang? I think Mike takes him out.
I think he gets taken out in an explosion. I think he follows along with... it would give a very bittersweet connection or completion of the circle that Fring also dies by an explosion with his uncle at the end of Breaking Bad season 5. So I think if Lalo goes out in an explosion now, I think that's a possibility.
So there's something where, I'm just, again, going with what you said. I agree. Like, Lalo doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's just going to get shot to death. Possibly he goes down into the meth lab. They lure him in there and they just close the door and say, look, this problem will solve itself in a couple of weeks, you know? And they just leave him down there to die, right?
Maybe, but I don't see it because it just seems so passive. I think Lalo's the type of guy that if he goes out swinging. He doesn't go out with a whimper. Okay.
So, and Kim?
As much as I don't want it, I don't see her living.
I mean, if this were just if there was no Breaking Bad, I would agree with you. I would say Kim dies and we just deal with, the grief of Jimmy. The fact that Jimmy is not like a totally broken man still seems to be enthusiastically embracing
his criminal
the cartel. I would say that she does not die. I think if anything, she either leaves him or he says like, hey, go into witness protection. Like, I feel like he somehow says, save yourself. I'll stay here and continue to represent the cartel as long as I'm doing work with them. They're not going to come after you. I'm basically like the insurance policy, or the collateral. And I think he kind of takes one for the team. But I feel like Kim is not going to die only because we see Jimmy in Breaking Bad and he's not like this depressed,
Well, yeah, the other way is that she gets taken out in a firefight between Lalo and Mike and whoever. And as she dies, she holds on to Jimmy and says, this is not your fault. Or something like that. Something like that, kind of. Because that's the thing is that, remember, that's the relationship they have. That's the dynamic.
The dying declaration.
But that's also the dynamic they have, is that even though he's done some shady stuff, she's always there to back him up. And she never says that anything he's done is his fault, even if it clearly is. The whole Lalo thing is 100% on him.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely,
I see that as being her dying things. Like, none of this was your fault. It happened, blah, or whatever. And that galvanizes him to continue doing behaving the way he does. I would have bought more into that Kim in witness protection program. I really buy into that a lot more for two reasons. One, because I don't want to see her die. And two, I would, if we saw anything that indicated that in Breaking Bad, I would have believed it. But we didn't see anything of that sort. Like, he had money stashed away, but it wasn't because he was sending it out. He wasn't doing anything. And Vince Gilligan is a master chess player. He would have thought about this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. He would have planted the seeds then and there. Yeah. But we didn't see any of that. So
do you think Vince Gilligan is done? I mean, once this wraps up, do you think Vince Gilligan is done with this story and he moves on to something else? Or is he going to say, you know what? There's another element to this universe that I want to create?
I don't know.
Have you heard anything like from...
I haven't. And I imagine we're going to start getting those thought pieces now because it's the mid-season finale. We know we've got some more speculation, but I haven't heard. But having said that, the same applies to when they announced Better Call Saul. I was like, listen, why are we coming back to this? You've told such a good, complete story in Breaking Bad. And here I am, 5 years later, and I love Better Call Saul. So who knows? Yeah. Maybe in 10 years from now, he comes back with another story from, I don't know, someone else. Who knows? We never know. Maybe it'll good. Maybe it'll be bad. I don't know.
I don't give one of the deaths in Breaking Bad that I thought was the most hard to handle was Hank. Remember Hank?
But what a way to go. What a way to go. He's like, you're the smartest guy I know, but you're too stupid to realize I'm dead already.
It shows that, like you said, Vince Gilligan just doesn't care who he kills. Maybe he's so objective, because I would be like, I don't know. I can't kill this guy. I like him too much. And that's not the way that you can really write something. You've got to instead be like, look, this is how it would end. And in life, especially in this, let's call it business industry, there's not happy endings for anybody, right?
Exactly. And it's good high drama, right? It was a highlight. And I don't mean that because we were happy. It was a highlight because it was so memorable. It was such a memorable way to go that he and his partner are killed at the shootout, and Hank is there desperately doing what he does best, which is he's trying to negotiate his way out of it with money before he realizes that money isn't going to get him out of this jam. So it was, you're right. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, but that's what makes it a good drama.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, Mike has made it. I mean, he died at the end of Breaking Bad, but I mean, he made it a long time in all of these 2 series, right? For
Philly cops, man.
Yeah.
They're made of hard stuff.
Okay, so we'll do another one when Better Call Saul comes to an end, but I think we needed this emergency episode since we're at the midway point, the last season. Lot to digest. I'm still trying to get over it, and let's see where it ends up, right? I think there's going to be a few surprises for us, and if you're right, and I have to say you've convinced me that you are, we're going to see this dovetail into Breaking Bad.
I mean, yeah, who knows? We'll find out soon enough. It makes sense on paper. But, I think that's the other thing about this is the writers are so good that even when you think you know something or something that's very obvious, it usually comes out of left field. So, right? Like I think my brain told me that Howard was either not going to make it or was going to be scanned. I thought what was going to happen with Howard was that this scandal was going to break his back and that he would have to leave Albuquerque to start a new practice. I did not expect him to die.
I mean, we didn't really know what the scam was until this last episode.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, for me, I was a little bit, I didn't know it was going to be, I didn't know what the end game was. And I have to say, it wasn't real to me because it was more about the scheming and less about Howard until this episode where you kind of saw what it was. And then I was still a little bit unsure, what they were trying to get out of this. Were they just trying to ruin him? Was it supposed to be a bribe? Was it supposed to be making him look crazy? And it did all of those things, but essentially it was still a little bit unnecessary, because again, he said, look, okay, you've ruined my reputation. I still got a big settlement. You kind of hurt the clients more than me. But I'll be fine. Like, what's really been damaged, And I have to say, like, he seemed to have a pretty positive outlook about it until he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
It didn't really seem so bad for him. He probably could have overcome the whole thing. He would have been paranoid, but he would have, lived to fight another day.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Actually, that way you're right in the sense that there was a great unknown of what the end game was. I didn't see that coming, and certainly it's not what did happen to him. Certainly hurts his reputation, but it doesn't kill the business. It doesn't kill the practice.
Yeah. And it's also a little bit strange if you put it in perspective. You can see why Kim is behind this because Jimmy, who's not really hurting for money anymore, and didn't really need like this immediate settlement that he obviously now orchestrated. Remember, there was a time when he was practicing elder law.
Yeah.
And he was representing each of these clients. And he, for all his problems, he genuinely seemed to care for those folks. And he's the person that uncovered this. It's a little bit surprising that in this whole scheme, while he did get kind of an immediate settlement, which I guess benefits some of the older ones a lot, it didn't really seem like it was in their best interest. He kind of like damaged them, at least inadvertently, by orchestrating this thing that just kind of forced like an early settlement. Howard's embarrassed, but he made a boatload of money and he doesn't have to work on this case anymore. So it's not really, as you said, like kind of the end of the world for him.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on here.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the...
It's bittersweet talking about this because there's a lot of people who are, not necessarily great people, but you really empathize for them and sympathize with them. You really want to see them succeed. But then there's also a lot of people who are, the ones that you want to succeed and see, but then you're just like, no, in the real world, they're getting what they deserve.
Kind of, yeah. Is that this thing with Kim and her mom, is that the first time we've seen this flashback?
Yeah, it's not yes, we've had an inkling that she's not she's not exactly the straight arrow she's portrayed herself to be. But I think that flashback was the first one, or at least certainly the first one I recall, which really went a long way to explain a lot of her thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When does this start up again? There's a little bit of a hiatus, and then we've got the last couple episodes, right?
I want to say July, but I could be wrong. Because I'm getting really confused. There's a lot of shows coming out within June now. It's going to get really dicey in terms of, we've got The Boys coming out. You've got...
Oh, yeah.
You've got a lot of shows coming out. I don't think they're going to take more than a month off in between as a hiatus, or maybe 2 months off. You've got the rest of Obi-Wan. You've got Ms. Marvel. You've got Andor. Like, Disney is busy. Everyone's busy. So
June is a pretty busy month for us, right? And in cinemas, what do we have in cinemas in June?
To be determined. No, we've got Thor is in July. Oh, Bullet Train comes out in June. So does Lightyear.
Oh yeah.
That's it. At some point, Knives Out is coming out. Oh, Jurassic World is out.
Oh, yeah. Jurassic World is coming in June, right?
I will say I saw the trailer. I was more impressed with the trailer than I expected to be. So even though Jurassic World 2 was an absolute write-off for me, Jurassic World 3 does have me slightly intrigued. I won't deny it.
I was... remains to be seen. I didn't feel like I saw enough to really be excited, but it didn't look bad enough that I wanted to write it off. Yeah.
I think I'm also just super happy to see the original trilogy back, like the trio. All three of them are back, so I like that.
So, yes, we've got Ms. Marvel, Hustle with Adam Sandler, Jurassic World Dominion. Is this thing with Lightyear? Yeah. Is this thing with Elvis Presley?
Oh my God! I saw the trailer. I can't wait to see this movie.
It actually looks quite good, huh?
I can't wait to see this movie.
Yeah, I have to say I've never been like a huge Elvis Presley fan, and maybe that's a generational thing, but certainly I want to see this movie. And
I'm a sucker for a good biopic, even if I don't know the guy or the girl who the show is about. But it's the same goes for me and Ray Charles. I wasn't particularly a fan of Ray Charles, but the movie itself and Jamie Foxx did such a good job with it. I was all in.
I think we should do a special episode, Pete, where you and I rate what we think would be the top 5 or top 10 biopics that should be made in the coming years, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we can definitely pencil that in.
Yeah. Michael Jackson, I think, is a little bit, I think he's untouchable.
Too controversial?
I think Madonna would be someone who possibly would be appropriate. Mike Tyson possibly would be appropriate. Prince would be a very good one, yeah?
Yeah, I think Prince would be great. Madonna kind of already had her own biopic. I don't remember the name of it, but she starred in a movie which was more or less about her. Yeah. Who else?
We should put this list together.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a good idea. It's a really good idea.
But would you say that biopics are, are we missing any political figures? Possibly, if you're looking at this from a U.S. perspective, you could have a Ronald Reagan. Yeah. that would be something that would potentially be. I don't think there's any president between JFK and Ronald Reagan who's really biopic worthy.
Clinton, maybe. Europe, although there was that John Travolta movie that was similar to a Clinton biopic.
Yeah. I mean, you could possibly make one about a band like U2, maybe. I don't think there's anyone who's like, I don't know. Let's think about, let's give this some thought.
It's a good thought. It's actually a good thought exercise. I think that's a great thought exercise is who, and I think it should also include people that should have biopics that haven't yet.
Yeah.
I think that's a great
idea. You know what? If we're also thinking a little bit bigger, we could say Diego Maradona, right? The Argentinian footballer. That would be globally, you could.
I mean, it would be huge. It would be huge.
Yeah. So let's give some thought to whose people or bands, teams, right? Mm-hmm. That would be eligible for a biopic, and let's put together the short list.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in.
Or things like Titanic, right? 9/11. We've seen enough 9/11 movies, so
so like a historical. There's some other probably.
Yeah. There's got to be some other good events we can think of. Okay.
I'm in.
Pete, thank you for another excellent episode. Better Call Saul. You better watch the last couple episodes when they come out. And
subscribe to Netflix. It's great. Yes. It's worth it. And please, make sure you're following us on social media at F&S Podcast on Twitter. We're on Instagram at Films. I think just Films and Stuff. You can always email us, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. Wherever you want us, we're there.
We're here. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, listeners. Have a great day.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.